I know. I am afraid to try. I assume, but I just have. That's what I'm now. You are good. I was going to have to get it anyway. I'm just. And I remember that.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. 142 if you need the words. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni. Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitkhem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
In a week where we witnessed 3 mass shootings in California, leaving 19 dead, many victims Asian Americans celebrating their New Year. 39 mass shootings in less than 30 days. A week that left in its wake the shooting of a Newport News first grade teacher at the hands of her 6-year-old first grade student, and the Memphis beating murder death of a 28-year-old black man by 5 black police officers. And, not to be in a competition, 9 Palestinians killed and 20 others wounded yesterday in an IDF raid on the Jenin refugee camp, and just tonight, as Shabbat dawned, 8 murdered by a 21-year-old Palestinian East Jerusalem terrorist as Shabbat worship was just taking place. It is important when the world seems out of control to remind ourselves that guns used for violence and vengeance are never an answer. It is unthinkable America has legally obtained more guns than people. It is equally unimaginable that security concerns can lead to an ongoing cycle of violence where the loss of human life is the price we have to pay again and again and again. There is, of course, no easy answer. Not here, not there. But this much is certain. It begins by affirming the principle which our prayer makes possible, that every human life is sacred, every soul stamped in the image of the Holy One. Remembering far too many lives lost in just a week, we best honor them by celebrating one another, upholding the dignity of difference, and by never, ever losing hope. After all, that's what Shabbat is really all about. Believing, despite all of life's craziness, that we together can be better. I'm sorry to start with this, but I thought, how can we not affirm the loss we feel? Sometimes feeling powerless, and yet we have power. It is the power of this prayer moment to affirm that we are linked together in common cause to make the world more humane and more holy. So we celebrate light. That's how we start. Inviting 2 families to come kindle. Come on up. Come on up. Lang. Come on up. Ethan. Bring your moms. As we begin by kindling light. Each mom gets to kindle. You guys can kindle it if you want, but I'm not going to trust Ethan with flames. I'm not sure. Are you going to be okay with this? Go ahead, Mom. You can help her. You can help her. You got it? You go with Mom.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner. Shel Shabbat.
As we turn the page, we rise for Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, b'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu vacharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat. l'chaim. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Making ready to greet the Sabbath bride on page 138 with Lecha Dodi. We sing I Bet verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
You nailed it.
I nailed it, which is a number you can play after Shabbat. When we get to that last verse, you remember, why do we greet the rear? Why do we face the rear as we stand for that last verse? Because there are two reasons. One is the radiance of the Shabbat bride, the Sabbath queen, is entering, but equally that the people who were in the back are now in the front, says the old Yiddish saying, and so they get to greet the Sabbath bride first. Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala,
Likrat Kala,
Penei Shabbat,
B'nei Shabbat,
Nekabela,
Nikabela,
Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala,
Likrat Kala,
Penei Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem ol tiferet v'litila la la, Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat,
B'nei Shabbat,
Nekabela,
Nikabela,
Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala,
Likrat Kala,
Penei Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Shabbat, Lecho v'nelcha, Ki makor haberacha, Mehirosh mikedem nesucha, Sof maaseh b'machshavat chila, la la, Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala,
Likrat Kala,
Penei Shabbat,
B'nei Shabbat,
Nekabela,
Nikabela,
Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala,
Likrat Kala,
Penei Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Hitoreri, Hitoreri, Ki ba'oreku miori, Uri, Uri, Shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alayik nikla, la la, Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala,
Likrat Kala,
Penei Shabbat,
B'nei Shabbat,
Nekabela, Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala,
Likrat Kala,
Penei Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi.
Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, Gam b'simcha uv'sohola, Toch emune am segula boi chala lecha dodi likra kala B'nai Shabbat Nikabela Lecha dodi likra kala B'nai Shabbat Nikabela Lecha dodi Shabbat shalom.
You're allowed to schmooze, say hello to people around. You got a minute. Not more. And you can keep standing. Don't sit down just yet. So as we remain standing, preparing for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship, on this International Holocaust Remembrance Day, what does our call to worship remind us? That the root of Baruch Hu is Berech. For those of us who are Hebrew speakers, that would be Ni. Why would our call to worship have a word that remembers the Ni? Because when we are too proud or straight to know we must bend before forces far beyond us, when we can't summon the humility to understand that we're not ultimately in control and no dictator should be either, then we forget that there is a power and a force and a source far beyond us. So the Baruch Hu calls us to humility of heart and to openness to be able to bend our knee. On the bottom of 149 together. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change.
And within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha v'vetecha, uv'lechtecha v'derech, uv'sholchbecha uv'kumecha, uv'shartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beinenecha, u'chtavtam, al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha lema'an tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem lelohim, ani Adonai Elohechem.
Emet. Atop page 157, the beautiful words of Michael Walzer. Join me. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Atop 158.
Micha mocha understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love, understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Ve'hamidenu, Shomreinu L'chaim. Ufros aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
In a moment, as we make ready to rise for the tefillah on 164, I remind you of Rabbi Moshe Leib of Sasov's warning or story to his disciples. He taught how easy it is for the poor to depend on God. But those who have enough or more than enough, it's very hard for them. For all their possessions, call out to them, don't depend on God, depend on us. Prayer is the moment that reminds us of our ultimate source. Not all we possess, but the possibility of all we can yet become. We rise for the tefillah.
Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid, Tehilatecha. Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid, Tehilatecha. Adonai Sifatai, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, V'zocher chastei avot v'imahot, u'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, leman shemo be'ahava. Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hakashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umito melach, melech memit, umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yihallelu Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We continue with our own prayer, either the words of the pages through page 180 or the words of your own heart. Take a couple of minutes.
These words come to us from a 14-year-old from the concentration camp of Tarzin. The very last, so richly, brightly, dazzling yellow, perhaps if the sun's tears could sing against a white stone, such a yellow is carried lightly way up high. It went away, I'm sure, because it wished to kiss the world goodbye. The very last, so richly, brightly, dazzling yellow. Perhaps if the sun's tears could sing against a white stone. For 7 weeks I've lived in here, pent up inside this ghetto. But I have found my people here. The dandelions call to me, and the white chestnut candles in the court. Only I never saw another butterfly. The last brightly dazzling yellow. Perhaps if the sun's tears could sing against a white stone, that butterfly was the last one. Butterflies, they don't live in here.
Music and prayer of brokenness and hope is one of the things that brings us together. We turn to Mishaberach on page 371, once again holding on to that brokenness while hoping for glimmers of hope and healing.
Mishaberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
We pray for the healing of Paul Millman, Nancy Hanley, Marlo Wiggins, Dick Stone, Hannah Stampelman, Enid Elton, Jody Kahn, Stanley Tereski, Bob Glassman, Andy Rosenthal, Sandy Warshaw, June Foreman, Paul Wiggins, Joseph Spinelli, Harriet Katz, Samuel Philip Lear, Pat Ryan, Jerry Golner, Ian Spire, Julie Ross, Megan Kearney Bailey, Dan Zimmerman, Aaron Serkman, Tyler Grad, Alan Grad, Joanne Tobin, Evelyn Silberg, Jonathan Glassman, Marvin Weiss, Abby Zatoon, Michael Scher, Renee Leopold, Ruth Barron, Stephen Stampelman, Judah Loria, Ben Myers, Sam Abrash, Karen Mansler, Joel Brill, Carol Feldman, Josh Olean, Drew Olean, Brad Dembski, Noah Lanner. I'll invite you to share names out loud in hopes for healing now.
Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Refuah Shlema Mehera, may they have a speedy and complete healing.
How do we mark this day designated by the UN General Assembly as the International Day of Commemoration and Memory of the Victims in the Holocaust. We tend to talk in numbers. 6 million Jews, 1 million of them children. 1/3 of our people worldwide exterminated. 13 million people all told, murdered by Nazi terror. But numbers, immeasurable as they are, cannot quite capture the devastation, the emotional heartache of family lines wiped out from the face of the earth. Painfully ironic as it is tragic, sometimes remembering a single life lost helps us feel the weight of our lost world. So I have dialogue actors that I've engaged, and I'm paying union rate wages to. Listen to this dialogue. It's titled Between a Man and His Little Sister. It's the conversation Elie Wiesel imagined long after he watched as they went into the camps off the train, and the Nazis separated he and his father, going one way to the work camp, and his mother and little sister Tzipora going the other way to the line for the Auschwitz crematoria. I'm going to call on Jake Gill and Haley Tauber to come on up to present this dialogue. It is from Wiesel's book, A Jew Today, my copy given to me by Rita Grunbaum that I have downstairs. So Haley's going to do it here. Haley's gonna do it here. All right?
Will you remember me? Tell me, will you remember?
Of course.
But I am leaving you so few memories. It's not my fault, you know. I was small and you had no time. I liked to play and you didn't. You were forever buried in your books and I had no time. I liked to play and you didn't. You were forever buried... sorry. I wanted to laugh and run and sing with my friends. That's why I'm afraid you'll forget me.
Don't be afraid, my little sister. I'll never forget you.
You promise?
I promise.
You'll remember how I looked?
Of course, I shall never be able to see a child without seeing you. The golden reflection of your neatly combed hair, your blue eyes, so gentle, your high forehead, your voice so timid, so pure. I see you, little sister, and I ache. I see you in the nights. I see you in the crowd, lost. I watch you going away from me, and it breaks my heart.
And here I was afraid that. How foolish of me.
I have forgotten nothing. I cannot.
And you will say that I was 8 years old?
I will.
And that I like to play with the older girls?
I will.
And you will say that I have never seen the sea?
I will.
And that I never had the chance to go to a real wedding?
I will.
And that I never hurt anybody?
You never hurt anybody, not anybody.
You will say all that, you promise?
I promise.
Swear it?
I swear it to you.
Then I am happy.
That too I shall say.
You know what? I worry about you.
Why worry about me?
'Cause you are outside and alone, but I'm inside and never alone. So I worry about you a lot. What are you going to do? How will you go on living without us? As for me, I soon will be with grandfather again. He will take me on his knee and sing me his songs, and I will be with grandma again, and she will bless me just as she did as Shabbat came. I will be with all the people we love. Only you will remain far away, my poor brother. I am so sad for you.
You are such a sweet little girl.
You know what? I have an idea. I will not leave you. Would you like that?
Yes, I would.
Then look at me again.
I am looking at you.
I'm cold, wearing my winter coat, but I'm still cold.
I too, little sister, am cold.
I'm wearing my special coat, the pretty one. Do you remember when I got it?
For Rosh Hashanah.
I was so proud. It was the most beautiful present I ever got. Back then it kept me warm, even in the snow and ice. But now I shiver from the cold. It's so cold. What can we do?
Nothing, little sister. There is nothing left to do.
You swear you will speak to me even when you do not see me?
I will try.
You will say I like to sing, that I like to listen to you sing,
I'll say that too.
and that I love the holy days?
You radiated joy, my little sister.
and how much I love Shabbat.
It made you glow.
And you will say how much I loved God.
Yes, my little sister.
And my grief at losing you, losing all of you. Will you speak of that too?
I'll carry it always inside.
One more thing.
Yes.
When you speak of your little sister leaving you like that, without a hug, without a goodbye, without a wish for your journey, will you say it was not her fault?
It was not your fault.
Then whose fault was it?
I'll find out, and I will tell everyone. I swear it to you, little sister.
Am I on? Yes, I'm on. So it's it's a dialogue that Wiesel writes, and I know this, but I have to remind you. I was Professor Wiesel's student the first year he came to Boston University. I got to take his courses as he began teaching. He was filling in one day a week. I eventually got to be his teaching assistant and spent lots of time with him in my 5 years at Boston University getting a master's degree. Wiesel, there's a backstory to this. Wiesel wrote it in his book, Jew Today, as a dialogue between a man and his little sister. And one of the students in class once said, "Well, isn't the man you?" And he said, "It's every man, every teen who lost a little sister or brother. Yes, it's me." Wiesel was he went back to Auschwitz in 2011. No, it had to be 2010 with Oprah Winfrey. And I reminded myself, so I watched the interview a couple days ago, and he said what he said often in class. He could talk about everything. He talked about his father in the camps, and he didn't cry or break down. He was enraged that he lost his humanity because the Nazis, he understood, forced him into a corner, and he watched his father die. But he was enraged, no tears. The only thing that which he would relate that what brought him to tears was his little sister. Tzipora was 8 years old. Wiesel was 16. Wiesel was a Talmud genius. Remember, in the camps, he studied Talmud by heart with a man who was the head of his yeshiva, who was probably around 45 or 50, as they were digging ditches and burying God knows what. But they studied Talmud while they did that, and Wiesel had memorized the Talmud. But when Wiesel spoke about his little sister, Tzipora, he would break down. I saw it firsthand. And once we asked him why. I have it written down, but I don't have to worry about that. I know it. He said, survivor's guilt. Why am I still here? And the question I imagine she asked, will you tell them it's not my fault? Because that's what an 8-year-old little girl might say. It's not my fault, right? I didn't do it. And Wiesel has no one to blame. But he does have an answer. The answer is this: to be a Jew is to bear witness. That's why we're here. If you looked in the prayer book, you would see in Shema, which we sang tonight, there are 2 letters that are larger than all the others, the ayin and the dalet. Taken together, that is witness. Every time we say the Shema, it says we are witnesses. The world isn't quite there, and God isn't quite one, but we can work to make it happen. That's how we honor the memory of the 6 million and every little girl, every Tzipora, which means little birdie, who died at the hands of unthinkable Nazi terror. We have a legacy to pass the love forward and to care about every child, every human being. That's how we honor little Tzipora.
remember and to act differently is on us. Elenu, page 586. Eli and Stella will invite you up to open up our ark, our B'nai Mitzvah on deck.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, l'tekeru l'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim umishachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
You may be seated. The act of remembering and telling stories and bringing upon legacy is something that is on all of us, not just Eli Wiesel. And this year, as our community is spending real time contemplating memory and considering memory, we're bringing that practice into yard-site observance as well. And we are so grateful that one Shabbat a month, we get to have congregants come and share the memories and the stories of the loved ones in their lives. Tonight, we have two people sharing stories. And first, I'd like to invite Paul Sharkazy up to speak about his mother, Marilyn.
Can you make sure the pasta is al dente? My mother, Marilyn Sharkazy, would ask the waiter. The meal, like life, was a celebration of the senses, what she called her joie de vivre, joy of life. I remember her telling one of her young grandchildren, "You are so delicious, I could eat you up." Everything, every one, was to be fully experienced. She once laughed so hard that her mouth hurt, the corners of her smile almost reaching her eyes. She cherished time with family, would talk for hours about craft fairs, restaurant week lunches, and new Broadway plays. She would listen intently as each generation's teenagers offered her their perspectives on life. The meals she prepared were labors of love. They were never as good as she wanted them to be, but oh, how good they were. Her Aunt Ella's secret cheesecake recipe, the holiday pot roast, the linguine with white clam sauce, with pasta that was, of course, always al dente. My mother's childlike wonder fell under dark shadows when her daughter died at 24. And again when her sister and two best friends died of cancer. At the very end, dementia left only the shell of her body and a vacant look. That was really hard. But Mom, 3 years later, as I think about your life, to paraphrase the Barbra Streisand song you used to sing, So it's the laughter I will remember whenever I remember the way you were.
And Emily Laitman, I'd love to have you up to speak about your son, Daniel.
So, in love, they are remembered, and in memory, they live. Daniel left us in 1998 after we had 12 and a half incredible, loving years with our amazing son. Yes, we did get through it, but we'll never get over it. We remember him as computer savvy, knowing how to navigate his way around the internet while teaching his friends to email, do homework, word process, which was a good thing since his handwriting was not his forte. He loved magic, science, soccer, baseball, and taking risks, skiing the Black Diamonds. How did we keep his memory alive, and what do we do now? We look at videos and pictures. No Facebook back then. We give each other birthday cards that Daniel has signed and sent from above. Our grandson of 18 months is Asher Daniel Marcus. Daniel sits next to me twice a month when I facilitate a child loss group. We talk to him at Mount Hope Cemetery. We share his story in the book, Our Children Are Hearts, Journeys of Child Loss and Remembrance, which has helped many families understand how to move forward and cope with grief. We've learned that grief shared is grief diminished. Death does not end a relationship. He is with us always. Look up in the sky on a clear winter evening, and you'll find him in Orion. Check out his website that was created by friends and family to leave messages. hellodaniel.com. In love, they are remembered. In memory, they live.
Paul and Emily, thank you both for sharing Marilyn and Daniel with us. To their names, we add the names and memories of those that our community is remembering on this Shabbat. Francis Langer, Tamar Schnapper, Arthur Siegel, Temi Markovitz, Yvette Arian, Harry Zuckerbrown, Freda Gottfried, Richard Rubin, Benjamin Weiss, Gil Schwartzman, Sylvia Weinberger, Jerome Dreyfus, Barbara Belisle, Jacob Weiner, Daniel Marcus, Adolph Weiss, Mike Schraga, Milton Cohn, Marilyn Sharkazy, Donald Wayne, Elizabeth Nadel, Alexander Fine, Harry Huberman, Vincent Bavona, Sarah Balsam, Seymour Finver, Isabel Pollock, Martin Kahn, Rhoda Getz, Alice Klufer, Irving Matros, Horace Goldstein, Selma Kay, George Halperin, Edward Zimmerman, Yetta Ton, Solomon Mendelson, Warren Hyman, Fred Fine, Herbert Davis, Martin Ross, Teodoro Sadler, Amy Quinlan, Zorik Zeltzer, Cecilia Hirsch, Katie Sobel, Stuart Turner, Eva Balmuth, Leopold Berger, Fanny Schlanger, Manfred Seiden, Fanny Apple, Samuel Schatzberg, Benjamin Ostro, Lillian Sunberg, Abraham Mines. And we remember those who have passed in most recent days within the Shloshim 30 days period of mourning. Louis Brous, brother of Barry, husband of Ruth, father of Michelle, Debbie, and David, grandfather of Allison, Rebecca, Alex, Nicole, Jared, Caroline, Sam, Anna, and Sophie. Michael Huberman, brother of Susan and Leslie, husband of Lynn, father of Keith, Lance, and Seth, grandfather of 9. Duffy Brodsky, mother of Lynn, Lisa, and Abigail, grandmother of Rebecca and Joe, predeceased by her husband Bill. Jennifer Nobby, wife of Jeff, mother of Sophia and Jocelyn, daughter of Judy, sister of Craig. Karen Frankel, mother of Doug and Shauna, grandmother of Austin, Madison, Skylar, Hannah, Hudson, and Nora, predeceased by her husband Bob. And Peggy Mann, wife of David, mother of Sari, Barbara, and Allison, grandmother of Sydney, Danielle, Jonah, Brooke, Dylan, Julia, and Ethan. If you're remembering someone on this Shabbat, I'll invite you to share their name out loud. We remember the 11 million, 6 million of them Jews, those killed and murdered this week in the United States and in Israel. And with all of that on our hearts, we give gratitude for their lives. Page 598 is the Mourner's Kaddish. Please rise. Yikadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories and their lives be our blessing. You may be seated.
I get to be the officer on call because unless somebody else wants to be the officer, I mean, you're an officer, you could come up, John Borden. But I was told by Michael Nathan that I'm the officer on call because he didn't look at the list and he got mistakenly put on tonight and he couldn't make it. So I tell you a few things that are happening, and then the cantor has an important thing that she wants to tell you about as well. Next weekend is going to be just, I mean, as sort of reflective and in a way, mournful and attuned and sensitive as this was, and you guys were great as readers. I mean, you convinced me you were sister and brother. It was great. It was beautiful. The gift of being here tonight is really to remember. And if it's somber at all, realize that the antithesis of this beautiful evening will be next weekend when we are going to have a holy hoedown in celebration of the cantor's installation.
Really? Holy hoedown?
Holy hoedown. That's a good thing.
That doesn't sound fun.
Oh my God! If you are a country kind of person, holy hoedown is it. That's it. I am not a country kind of person, but anyway, it's going to be great. It's going to be a celebration. Guest cantors, the cantor emeriti of Larchmont Temple, mentors. It's going to be awesome. We even have Shabbat dinner afterwards, and then Saturday night is going to be this sort of l'chaim. It's going to be a celebratory concert of a whole bunch of her cantor colleagues and friends, plus us giving toasts. It is not to be missed. It really is not to be missed. So I'm just saying, if you put anything on your radar, put that on. And
another thing for your radar. So apropos of this evening, earlier in the evening, Rabbi Serkman said it's upon us to be an aid, to be a witness. And we have an opportunity to travel with me and a cadre of other cantors and their congregations to bear witness in Poland and also to experience Prague. So that is a trip that is happening in the fall, October 14th to 26th. It's going to be a really grand experience. I've heard such incredible things about when cantors travel. Beth, I think you were on the last trip to Cuba. I've heard a ruckus good time, a hoedown, if you will. A holy hoedown for sure.
you can use it, but I can't.
I'm saying it sarcastically.
My hoedown was holy, just to say. It's a, oh, forget it, okay.
We're going to have a Zoom information session with the tour leader in Poland in a few weeks, and really excited to experience that corner of our world, both to bear witness, but also to be reminded that our people thrived in that corner of the world for 1,000 years before that happened, and excited to explore what that looked like, what it felt like, and what is it like now, and what's the future of Jewish life there as well. Good food, good drink, good music, hopefully a really good experience. So chat with me after if you're interested, or send me an email, and there's more information in your weekly email if you want to check there.
We rise for our closing song.
Because truly, how to end a service like this, we are here, we live, Am Yisrael Chai, let the Jewish people celebrate that we have survived all that has befallen us. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. It's a holy hora.
It's a holy hoedown. But to Ethan and to Lang, I want you to get a good night's sleep, all right? I want you to have a good strong drink before you go to sleep, so you sleep well. I mean, like, a glass of milk or something, I don't know. But tomorrow is your day, and we are so excited to be led and taught Torah by you. So mazel tov. Shabbat shalom.